He was sitting inside the hut that his parents made him to wait for the bus.
You sit right here. Oh, don't get the bus.
Oops.
All right, you guys ready?
Ready?
All right.
All hands in.
All right, good evening. I call to order the meeting of the Hamilton Wenham Regional School Committee on Thursday, September 4th, 2025 at 7 p.m. We are going to start off this evening with the opportunity for citizens' comments. It does not appear that there are any citizens' comments in the room. Eric, do we have anyone on Zoom?
We didn't, but let me just double check. Just crushed it, sorry.
No, no worries. We'll take a second.
Yeah. Yeah, my laptop's probably gonna die.
Take two, there we go.
Do we want to give it a minute, Eric?
No, we should know it right this second. Not joined, nobody.
Okay.
No one in the Zoom room.
There's no one in the Zoom room. So is there somebody popping in right now?
Nope, that's
Nope.
just telling
Okay.
me I'm
I
muted.
couldn't read it from here. All right. Seeing no comments, I will forego all the rules and regulations about comments, and we will close citizen comment and move on. Next up, we have a review of a portion of our school committee protocols. Julia, if you're willing.
Sure.
As elected members of the Hamilton Wenham Regional School Committee, we, including the superintendent, accept the high honor and trust that has been placed in us to ensure that the students of the district receive the best education possible. To that end, we hereby commit to the following in the conduct of our business. The superintendent and the school committee represent the needs and interests of all students in the district and place the students' interests above all others in their decisions while remaining within the limitations of a voter-approved budget.
Thank you. David Polito, would you be willing to read a portion of the mission statement?
Sure. The Hamilton Wenham Regional School District School Committee's mission is to ensure our schools create graduates with a passion for lifelong learning, together with the critical skills needed to maximize their potential. The Hamilton Wenham Regional School Committee will lead and inspire a district that empowers administrators to seek innovation, responsiveness, and creativity in all aspects of district operations.
Thank you. Next up is the consent agenda. Does anyone have any items that they would like to hold from the consent agenda? All right, seeing none. David?
I move that the Hamilton Wenham Regional School Committee accept tonight's consent agenda as written in tonight's meeting agenda.
Second.
Second by Amy Kumberger. All those in favor? That is unanimous, and the motion passes. Okay, moving right along. All right, new business to you, Mr. Tracy, to talk about the proposed 2025-2026 district goals.
Thank you. Just wanted to bring this back around as we worked through this at the workshop a few weeks back. We've taken this and broken it out into some deliverables and tried to organize it in different segments of the school year so that things kind of flowed along the school year. The first goal, forming and launching an AI policy and pilot initiative. This is something I think we talked about last year, but we never really got off the ground. So this gives us an opportunity to put together an advisory group to review the new DESE guidance that came out. There's a lot of guidance that just recently came out within the 2 weeks before school. And then, excuse me, draft up some district guidelines and finalize them eventually, identify some classrooms to do some pilots. We suspect that will be high school, middle school. High school is very interested in being pilot, so then we'll implement those pilots and do an evaluation and report of the pilot results at the end of that, and then that's where the final draft will come into play. Improving teaching and learning, this has been, now we're going into year 5 for MTSS.
Eric, I'm just going to interrupt
Yeah,
briefly. Does the committee want to do you want to do one goal at a time, or do you want to have Eric go through all of them and then ask questions and?
I don't know.
I'm sorry that I just wanted to, like,
I think we could do questions, and then if we think of something at the end, do general. Do you know what I
you
mean?
want to do questions on each goal?
I think we could.
The only person that spoke up, and, you know?
There it is.
And then we could do, if
Yeah,
I,
at the
if I
end,
think of
yeah.
something at the end.
Okay, yeah. I'm sorry, I just wanted to
No
give the
problem.
people the
Yeah.
opportunity if, all right, do you have a question on this?
I do not have a question on this one.
All right, well, I do have a little bit of a question on this. I just wanted to get, I guess, I know you don't know yet because you haven't devised or have you devised what a potential pilot would look like? Or is that something that hasn't yet been
That
designed?
hasn't yet been designed. That'll be
Okay.
part of this
So
process.
I guess that was my understanding of this, but I guess maybe it'll just be interesting to hear how it's going along the way. Like, it's hard for me to judge, like, how long would we need to do a pilot? I mean, I think it's great I'm thrilled that it has pilots, not just sitting around and making a policy. I think that's great. And I guess I'm just sort of trying to imagine, like, how long does the pilot last? And then, because the idea is that by June, we have a written policy,
Right.
or a proposed policy, is
We
that
we
correct?
kind of envision it as doing the initial work in the first 4 months through December. The natural breaks in the school year help us, so we target like the third quarter for, say, high school kids. Actually, middle school and high school are very close, so you could say, which is right around February, and use the third quarter as a basis, and then during your fourth quarter, you can do your reporting. That's kind of what we were trying to lay out so that we had enough time to get everything settled and done. And I think in a lot of ways, there are a number of classrooms already doing some of this work, and there are a number of people who have led the charge, so we're hoping to pull them in and learn a little bit from them before we do these pilots, because we do have a number of people at the high school, at least, who have been taking advantage of AI as much as possible. They're kind of our explorers, if you will.
Thank you. Anybody else have any questions on this one? No. And again, to Julie's point, certainly we can come back to things at the end.
I actually did have one for this one. For the pilot classrooms, are they all going to have access to the same tech in class?
I think that would be kind of the idea of the pilot. Like, okay, if you had something like an iPad, a Chromebook, and a lot of kids at the high school have MacBooks, what that looks like, how does that function? Part of the pilot will be learning what kids can and can't access. So I think you'd probably see different classrooms with different results. Like the younger kids would probably use a different device than the older kids. The older kids generally tend to all use MacBooks or some type of laptop. So it'll be a good comparative,
Okay.
just to see what works and what can't. We also have to work with our tech staff because some of these things are naturally blocked out by our software. Yeah, so we have to work with them to figure out ways to release that so that things can be used in the way they're meant to be used.
All right, I do have another question, which maybe is a question for later, I guess, as the policy is being developed. But in other words, obviously you're using DESE guide, you're getting guidance from DESE, guidance from, as part of this advisory group, or is part of the process looking to like surrounding communities about what they're learning in their own pilot studies?
Yeah, so one of the things that I think everybody knows, I'm a member of the North Shore Superintendent's Roundtable. So we do compare notes quite often, especially because all the schools are in this area, so they're all the quote local schools for the most part, and we compare notes, and I think we may be leading the way on this. There are a couple of schools who have talked about it, but I haven't heard any definite plans that are similar to ours that are saying, yeah, we're gonna forge ahead and start moving forward. So we may be leading the way in part of this.
Okay.
All right, goal 2 is the MTSS goal, multi-tiered systems of support, which we did the presentation Jen Clifford had done the presentation during the workshop. And this is really the continuation, and this gets harder and harder to write your goal, because your goal is really evolving into continuing to build and grow the process and prune the process along the way. So I think a lot of the opportunities that we've tried to get involved with have been connected to DESE. We've got an opportunity to get into 2 more academies, the tiered math support, to help us with the implementation, continued implementation of Eureka Squared at the elementary level, and then the community of practice for CKLA, which helps us to now push grade level writing in, which wasn't our initial focus. But as you know, if you go back 4 years ago, we talked about this being probably a 7-year goal along the way. So this really helps us to continue to connect the dots, broken out by each of the schools, and some are at different levels. The elementary has really forged the way, if you will, in curriculum implementation, getting their PLCs up and running, having their data meetings now much more efficient. And then we've been able to kind of weed the garden, if you will, and take out some of the things. Like, we started using Panorama a few years back, and we decided to get away from it because it doesn't give us the information that we need. And we don't want teachers to spend time digging through spreadsheets trying to figure out what the issues are. So we're working with a different company that we have used all along for our MCAS stuff. They have kind of moved into this zone, so we're going to work with them. They're a third of the cost and seem to be delivering a better product so far. And then we'll just continue through the high school. We're trying to really figure out ways to buttress tier 2 at the high school. It's a little bit harder at the high school level, where kids don't stay with the same teachers all day. They're moving around so much. So we really want to target the ELA and math supports and continue to see kind of how the best practices work in relation to our focal point, which is really looking at the gap between special ed students and regular ed students. And that's the leadership's team instructional focus is related to making sure that all kids in this district have access to grade level tier 1 curriculum and supports. The bigger piece of it for us now is we're starting to focus more specifically on gaps that we see between special ed and regular ed. So you'll see a lot more of that come into play through this process. And part of that process goes all the way back to the student, the SOA plan. And that plan that gets submitted to the state consistently identified special ed for 3 years in a row. So we're like, okay, we're not making enough gains to kind of let this go. So our focus, instructional focus for all administrators this year is specific to figuring out ways to improve instruction to close those gaps related to kind of the special ed group versus all the peers. Those gaps have stayed consistent over time, which is a little bit troublesome for us. So we're trying to just figure out the best way to attack that. So you'll see more focus in that direction through our MTSS program. Questions?
Anybody have a question?
Just,
Go
I
ahead.
had a comment. I really like how you laid it out by school. I think when the public, and even sometimes myself included, think about MTSS, we tend to think about it just in terms of elementary school. So I
Yep.
really appreciated you incorporating everything, that we had talked about, sort of our concerns, and then splitting it up into the 3 schools. So it's
Yeah.
really all children will benefit from it.
Right, and the 3 levels are in different places.
Yeah.
Elementary has definitely led the way. They're probably 2 full years ahead of everybody, and that's really where the foundational work started. So we've been able to take some of that foundational work, move it to the middle and high school, which has moved them along a little more quickly than if they started from scratch.
So this is very very nitpicky, I think, but for me, the goal to be for the middle school, I actually am happy with the deliverables. I think, to your point, Eric, it's difficult when you're building this to come up with a goal. Like, the goal, when I first read the very first, it just says, middle school will build upon earlier MTSS work by doing the following. Like, thought to myself, well, that's like a pretty sort of vague
Yeah,
as a
yeah.
goal. I think that the deliverables are not super vague, and that they're, so I guess I'm not concerned about it, but that was what struck me when I first read it. I'm not sure it needs to get fixed. I just,
Yeah, and we
to
could,
Julia's point about, like, I don't know how much the public is reading these or looking at these, but
we can go back and fine tune it too, related to the work that they did last year. It's not, I mean, we've documented pretty deeply at the
Well,
work
Are
that's
you
been
worried
done.
it's not measurable? or
yeah, I
we
mean,
can't
I
evaluate
think
it?
that I think that the answer to my question was immediately answered when I read the deliverables, but it was a question when I read the goal. I just thought to myself, well, what does that really mean? Build upon earlier doesn't give me a ton of,
Yeah.
but again, I guess we can continue. That was just a little feedback on
Yeah,
that one.
no, I appreciate it.
A question. Is there some kind of, looking at how you'll know whether you've improved, is there some aggregate score that can be compared, A, to the past, and B, to peer schools in the state, for example?
So you can, in a lot of ways. We have, MCAS has always been our baseline. The problem we're running into with MCAS is a concern that because it's not required, people won't take it seriously, which makes it difficult to use as a measure now. But we do have things like DIBELS that we can compare to other schools that are using DIBELS. There's a comparative across the country, actually. So the DIBELS 8, for example, was that you had aggregates that came in from any other district in the country that was using DIBELS. So we do have that type of data. It's a little bit different when you look at CKLA and Eureka Squared, because not every district uses the same, and that's a battle going on at the State House as we speak. I was involved in it today, where the state's trying to make everybody kind of use the same thing all over. So it's hard to compare like a Eureka Math to Beverly or Danvers if they're not using it, but there are comparatives. There are a lot of schools using the curriculum that we've chosen because they are considered high-quality instructional materials, so we kind of fall under that requirement of the state while also being able to integrate with other school districts. It's just probably not all local.
So would it be helpful and meaningful to make one or more of those measures part of the goal setting?
To do a comparison?
Well, the absolutes and the comparison.
Yeah, I think our big focus this year is really closing that gap between our own special ed and our regular ed, which for us, we've been watching now for 3.5 years, and in some cases haven't been able to get that to move at all. That's really where we focus, so we could add something related to that in there, which makes sense since every single instructional leader, that's their focus this year,
Right.
all year long, so we could, yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Well, and I just to feed on that, I don't know if this is what you're getting at, but for me, like the presentation that Jen Clifford gave at the workshop with all that data, like for me, that was that felt like what I was looking for. So I don't know if you're feeling like that was the right, or if you're looking for something more comparing to outside or.
That was definitely historical stuff.
Yeah, it was
Oh, yeah.
historical, definitely. So,
The nice thing is we have 4 years of data. It's not like it just started last year. We're starting to now look at those trends across, we're even using that in our responses to the state when they say, hey, what do you think about us going in this direction? Well, wait a minute, we've already done 4 years worth of work that's showing us now very clear trends that we want to focus on. So it's, but I think it makes sense to put in at least, okay, we're focused on closing this gap and this is how we'll see it. So,
anything else? All right.
all right, number 3 is the evaluate and recommend school start time adjustments. This we started, we do have some data, we want to dig into it with an advisory committee. So use some of the data that we got last year, and then some of the newer data, updated data with some of the new families that are in the school community now. We have a couple of schools have made the shift, or not right in our backyard, but close by, so we can check in and see how those are going. And then doing some impact analysis on transportation, schedules, kids working after school, babysitting before or after school, like all of those kind of pieces of the puzzle. Talking with caregivers, like the community house, how does this impact the community house? What does this look like? Going back and just doing another survey, updating the survey, then looking at a couple of different scenarios and bringing them back to the group to discuss and figure out, get it out to the public, get some feedback from them, bring it back here and say, okay, what does this look like? And then make a final recommendation.
We'll have questions?
All right, and then the continuation in high-quality, safe, state-of-the-art schools. We're looking at all kinds of avenues, and a lot of it is dependent upon the election, of course. So that's why I think one of these has a note. The first one has a note, positive outcome, pending a positive outcome at the town-wide election. This goal would end on September 15th because we do have a drop-dead date from the state of September 24th. If we don't have our ducks in a row by September 24th, they're done. And then it goes through that process of gaining bond money, trying to figure out how to begin the financing process, going back with the architects, OPMs, and continue to meet with them. We met with them weekly during the first stages. We'll certainly meet with them probably more during the middle stages. It's an important part of the process, and my past recollections are we met probably 3 times a week trying to figure out different things like what hinges go where and all those little kind of little things. And then we want to continue the schematic design for the high school roof. As you know, we are involved in that. We did get our reimbursement rate certification, which is about 45%. It's what they consider to be reimbursable, but it's a little bit different with a roof versus a building because it tends to have more reimbursability because you don't have as many products. You're dealing with adhesives and roof material and labor. So we'll continue to work with our OPM and our designer and really getting the process to the point of requesting a debt exclusion at town meeting to complete the roof and get that work done. And then if it passes, we'll work with bond counsel, secure the first stage of bonds, and that work would be planned to kick off just after July 1 in the new fiscal year. And then statement of interest for other school-related projects. The window opens up every April. So we're looking at the next thing I'm going to present, the capital improvement process will bring us a number of items that we can look at and say, okay, these things might need to be deferred, or these things are on our top priority. And then looking at what can be submitted for an SOI, statement of interest, or not. Some of the things we're looking at, as we know, there's the air handler unit on top of the high school library died last year. It's about a $250,000 fix. We're currently working with Vicky Massoni, who does all the energy stuff for the 2 towns, trying to get some of that reimbursed by like Mass Saves and things like that. So we're looking at different avenues to try and figure out how to secure those, the things that we need without continuously going back to the towns for more money.
Okay. All right, questions?
No, this is great.
I love that. It's very organized.
Yeah.
Okay. So Eric, are we looking for a vote on this tonight?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. David, you want to start us off with a motion?
I move the Hamilton Wenham Regional School Committee vote to approve the 2025-2026 district goals as presented in tonight's meeting agenda.
Second.
Second by Amy Kumberger. All right, so discussion?
Not me.
Okay. All right. I guess my only discussion is that I know that I did make that comment, and I guess I will sort of just say, I felt like I wanted to say it regarding the middle school MTSS goal, but
We'll clean it up.
I just want to sort of say publicly, like, I am ready to vote on this,
Okay.
even though,
I think we'll still clean it up. I
Like-
think even David's suggestion of fine tuning the special ed piece of it as a comparative makes sense as well.
I think looking at the elementary description, kind of like picking that up, it just has more to it.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
making it relevant for middle school,
Sure.
maybe. But this is great.
okay. All right, well, I'm, okay. Not a lot of comments. Okay, all right, it looks like we're ready to vote?
I think so.
All right,
There was one question. I
okay,
had.
go ahead. Now's the time.
When I looked at the MSBA procedures, rules, whatever, for putting in submissions, there were some rules related to, for instance, if you're doing a roof, or if you wanted heat pumps, if the roof was more than 15 years old, I guess you had to have windows replaced or windows that are up to date. You know, there were some dependencies on there. And so, as we put in the MSBA submission for the roof, it may be too late, is that a time to tack on the heat pumps? Because without that roof, you can't do the heat pumps according to the...
Yeah, we can ask. I mean, they essentially just accept an SOI and say, this is what we'll cover. One of the changes that they made this year that hasn't been in play was making sure on any roof work that it's solar ready. At least investigating it. Like they'll do, part of the expenditure for us will be now as a requirement by the state to make sure they investigate whether or not the roof can be solar ready. Can it take the weight of solar panels on the roof, et cetera. So that's one of the pieces, but I haven't seen anything related to adding something in, because roofs are generally a single submission, just like boilers, windows. I don't know if they group things up. I mean, we can check. I'm just not 100% sure.
Yeah, I saw a kind of a logic diagram they publish
Yeah.
for expressions of interest that tag these things together. Might be worth having a look at.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. Anybody else? All right. Looks like we're ready to vote. All those in favor? All right, and that is unanimous, and the motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Eric, and thank you to the leadership team for a lot of work to create district goals. Thank you.
I think the one reminder of district goals is all the other things in the district get connected to them, so there'll be deeper work being done at each of the school level, and you'll see those in October when we present our school improvement plans. Those will be connected, just as we've kind of asked all of the building leaders to connect their goals to these as well. So you should see a lot of through lines. All right, the next one is capital improvement plan. The first exhibit I put in there just so people, it's a reminder. The second exhibit is, I just wanted to review this because there has been some confusion about how it works.
Full disclosure, I actually said, I'm a little confused.
Yes.
I
Well,
wanna-
I didn't want to throw you under the bus.
Thank you.
but-
I said, I need a refresher on this to make sure I fully understand exactly how it's working.
So Curtis Whiteman is the Director of Facilities Operations, Maintenance, Transportation, and then 5 other things. But he manages this process. He sends out a form to the principals in April and asking each budget stakeholder to give us information related on projects they think. So I'll use one example. Bucher principals submitted the Bucher roof. It's leaking like a sieve in a lot of places, so that's one of the bigger projects. And then April through August, Curtis works with subcontractors. He's been trying to figure out different bid ranges that we're seeing for any of these projects that were submitted. It could be as big as the entire parking lot at the high school, to the roof, to window replacements, to heater replacements. So that list just gets compiled into one. He meets with a committee that's combined of district people and people that are in the two towns. So each town has asked at least a FinCom member and a select board member to be part of this committee, each committee. They'll meet, they'll go through and try to prioritize based on the information or input we're getting from the towns to say, we could probably afford to do this, but not that. So then we'll come to the finance subcommittee in October and kind of have them reconcile the list and say, okay, these are the things we can add into the budget for the November, December cycle of the budget building process. And it could be in different formats. In some years, we have built some of our capital projects right into the budget, and then other years, we've gone and requested a significant capital request, separate from the budget. So we'll look at that during the budget process. That'll be a decision this group would have to make. And then January, we'll go through the usual votes, and February, it'll be in the finalized budget, and then whatever we have moved forward will go on the warrant for town meeting for a request.
Right.
Currently, they're in the stage of the committees coming together. That's September. The committee will come together and kind of iron out what makes sense for the communities, the two towns, and then they'll bring that forward to capital in October.
And the committee that you said has a FinCom member and from both towns, and it's like, and that's, our representative is Jen, is that correct?
No, it was Trent.
Was Trent.
Oh,
I don't know
We
if
have a
Megan,
meeting on
like,
Monday and we'll pick
takes it.
another representative.
okay, well, I'm glad I asked then.
That's a good
So,
idea,
all right.
Yeah.
So that's something that that capital finance will have to decide, right, because we need a representative there, correct?
We'll put it on the agenda,
Yeah.
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 And then capital finance will kind of finalize it, tweak it, and decide what to send forward through the budget process.
Okay.
I just wanted to clarify it. Dana had expressed, as she threw herself under the bus here, had expressed some concern about not having a full understanding. So I just want to make sure everybody understood how it's working. It's hard because all of a sudden something goes. It doesn't go in the process. Like all of a sudden in December, you blow a boiler that suddenly takes precedence. So, so we have to be prepared for those types of things as well, so.
Well, and, I mean, I guess I read this as, this is, the capital improvement, it's a capital improvement plan,
Yep,
is things that
yep.
we're planning for, so that's very different than,
Things we can't
An
plan
expense,
for.
yeah.
Yeah.
right, as something that's
Is it possible to come up with some kind of urgency rating for each of the items? That would tell you, this must happen within the next X months, or it'd be nice if it happens in the next 5 years, or, whatever.
Should be okay
I think
with,
the committee
high
will
and
do
low
that.
Rather than within the next so many years, or are you looking for more of a
Something a
specific
little bit
time?
more semi-quantitative, so that you can kind of stack them up.
They do
by-
an estimated time frame, like when they want it replaced. So I assume whoever's doing the capital request form, if they need it next year, they're gonna say next year in that form.
Are you talking about, I'm glad we're having this conversation, because are you talking about when the initial request is? Because I guess I interpreted this, that when the CIP committee holds this meeting, I mean, it says that they will prioritize the list based on needs.
Yep.
So but are you saying before that you want someone to be prioritizing, or is that what you're saying?
Not so much making the priority decision, but indicating if there's some quantifiable level of urgency, that's still not making the decision, but it's expressing what the situation is.
Yeah, I think if we roll this back to September in here, they're gonna take, say there's 10 projects on the table. This committee's gonna sort through and say, these are the priority projects. Because remember, we have to go all the way to April to request the money, and they won't start till July. So that's, I understand what you're saying. It's harder to do that way because even though we've approved a list, say in September, October, and that gets included in the budget, we still have to go forward to the towns to get the money. But if a boiler breaks, we might have to lean on stabilization or something like that, you know? So that would suddenly jump to the
Well,
front.
sure.
Yeah, this is just really to help us in the budget process, as we build our budget for each year. So whatever we come up with and said, okay, these are the 3 priority items that we want to include in this budget, that's what we would try to tackle for that next school year,
Yeah.
starting on July 1st, when the monies would become available.
But I would think that time frame would be an important aspect. In other words, certainly, even though that makes sense, we're not talking about something that is going to be done in the next 6 weeks, but there are certainly things that we could be saying, you know, this really needs to get done in the next 5 years versus something that,
Yeah,
like, this needs to get
yeah.
done as soon as we possibly can get the money. I mean, that seems like that's an important aspect, I think.
Yeah, just so you can have buckets of, you know, this lot are in this bucket, and that bucket's gonna cost X million. And the not so urgent are, you know,
Okay.
that sort of get, at least provide a feel for how many dollars are at stake. Rather than just a big lump.
We'll take it to the committee.
All right, other people have questions? No.
No, this is helpful.
Yes, thank you very much. And I'm really glad, so I look forward to, so when the Capital Finance meets next time, then in our next meeting, then we'll find out who's the
Mhm.
representative. That would
Yep.
be helpful. Okay. All right. Anybody have anything else on that? Okay. Moving on to finance and operations. I just wanted to, Vinnie, you sent out some dates, and I don't, for the quintuple board, and I don't think they necessarily went out to the whole committee, so I wanted to make sure we got that out to the
Just do a
committee.
quick update
Yep,
on it.
yep.
So I know you probably don't want to hear about it now, but I'm already planning the 27 budget.
Started yesterday.
Excellent.
Yep, and I plan on next meeting doing the full budget calendar. But just so you have the dates on your calendar, we are planning the 2 full quintuple board meetings. The first one is the normal week, which is the week before Thanksgiving. So this budget cycle, it's Wednesday, November 19th. And then the second full quintuple board meeting is the usual week of MLK week. So for this cycle, it's January 21st. Once I finalize all the dates, the next school committee meeting, I'll give you the full budget calendar, and hopefully all 5 committees do commit to those 2 dates. So last year, there was some difficulty trying to coordinate all 50 people, so I tried to do it a little bit earlier this year, so hopefully people's calendars in November and January aren't already booked.
Are we wedded to Wednesday nights?
We're not, that's just the usual night that they always took
Right, and we do
place.
have, so, kind of, because Monday is Hamilton Select Board, Tuesday is Wenham Select Board, Thursday is
Thursday's
School
our
Committee.
meeting.
So
Yeah.
like,
I just teach in Boston,
Yeah.
so I'll only be able to make about half of the ones I should.
okay. Well, and I will say that there's only the 2, that you as the
Yeah,
chair of.
And those 2 I can make.
Right,
I already checked my
exactly.
syllabi schedule.
So, and I just, for our new member, again, just, I don't know how familiar you are, but the quintuple board is both select boards, both FinComs, school committee. It's enormous. We meet in here, and it's an opportunity to have Vinnie talk about the budget, have everyone have an opportunity to ask questions about the budget. They can present about what they know at that point about their budgets, what they're looking for, and I don't know, Vinnie, if you want to add anything else about.
Yeah, the only difficulty with the full board meeting is they want it in November, and it's almost like we're meeting and presenting with the quintuple board before you guys have even had a
Yeah.
chance to
Right.
review it. So you don't see the full budget until the next night on the 20th. So the 19th is really just me kind of introducing it to everyone. The one on the 21st is kind of more engaging with everyone in the town committees.
And the other, we might actually have a Hamilton and Wenham budget by that one.
Right, I was gonna say, that's the other thing, is that in November, they don't have their budget either,
Right.
so it's kind of a challenge for everyone to try to present what they have, so.
Well, they don't have Vinnie.
Huh?
They don't have Vinnie.
They don't have any, and that's the problem. So,
Can't have.
I do have book club in November. I'm really disappointed to miss it.
it's really getting in the way. We could do it here during the meeting.
Yeah, invite
Okay, anybody else have any questions on those? Anything? Okay, you put it on your calendars, all of you, excellent. All right, committee reports, capital finance.
We have a meeting on Monday at 1:30,
This coming Monday,
this
The
September 8th.
great. Policy,
Policy, we're still trying to nail down a meeting time. I sent everyone another email today. I got your answer, Jen. David, I don't know what your availability is.
Yeah, I saw that at the end of the day. Sorry,
No,
I'll get
it's
back
okay.
to you tomorrow.
Just, it would be awesome to meet next week. Everybody's things are drafted. I will compile them after we meet. Do we vote on it in here?
are you talking about the doc?
The cheat sheet,
Yeah,
yeah.
so you, yes, you
Okay.
guys would be bringing, you
Oh, I
could
have homework,
vote,
too.
Vote in our meeting and then
right,
bring
the
it here.
vote at the meeting hypothetically would be vote to recommend it to the committee.
Okay.
Yeah,
So we'll have that for next meeting.
okay, great, thank you. Negotiations, we do not have anything. The one thing maybe I'll ask another is that at some point, I do think I don't know what the timing is, but at some point, I'd like to have a meeting to talk about the regional agreement, because we do have some feedback, and we're, from the lawyer, looking at sort of all the proposals, so it would be, I don't know.
Yeah, we do that, and we are gonna have to start getting together for the TA contract.
Yes.
Yeah,
please,
so it would be good to get something
ESP.
on get an agenda, a meeting on the books. That would be good.
Dana, there was a request from the custodial union as well, if you guys are gonna meet.
Okay, so it sounds like we need to have,
Yeah.
we need to have a meeting then, so
Yeah.
we can talk about.
You'll have custodial union and an agreement for the cafeteria workers as well, because of
Okay.
the schedule changes.
Okay, so, yeah, so let's get that, I'll let you work on that, David. Okay. Do we have a secretary report?
I forgot I had a meeting tonight.
You're here.
Here.
I came right from practice.
Okay, well, so, okay. I realize now it's not on here because you weren't here last time, and we did briefly talk about the role of secretary, which you generously took on. And there was a discussion about sometimes we toss the new person onto that role. So maybe we'll put that on the next agenda and have a conversation about whether that's something Megan is wanting to take on or not.
Yeah, like I said,
Mostly, we just talked about that many of us had done that as a new person.
It's a good way to pick up.
Yeah, so something to think about. I will get that on an agenda. All right. All right, to you, Eric. Let's hear about the opening of school.
Okay, opening of school. Oh, my favorite day is always that first day of school, and I get to clear my whole calendar and get out and about to all the schools and chatting with people and parents and teachers. It was a lot of fun this year again, just seeing all those little faces come back into our schools, which is really the energy that drives, I think, all of us. If I reel back before the opening of school, we had 4 days of training for our teachers, professional development days before kids come in. We had over 120 offerings for teachers to choose from, for different professional development opportunities for them to choose from. Most of them run by our own staff. Some of them were just training for new things like the Shift to Power School. So it was a good opportunity for everybody to get their ducks in a row before the kids all showed up, and they all showed up on Tuesday, and it looks like we're seeing enrollment increases in almost every single grade this year. We've taken a number of private school kids back from private schools, both at the elementary and at the high school level. We've taken a number of homeschool kids back, probably about a half dozen or so, back into the district. So it's good to see kids coming back and families bringing their kids back into the district. We're working with a lot of new things. Our student information system, PowerSchool, is new, so we're working through kinks with that, which are, this is the third implementation of a student information system I've done in my career, and the same thing happens every year. You can never start and go. You have to work out a few kinks and bugs. Teachers have been great experimenting and trying to figure out the easiest way to do things, and then sharing with each other. The e-buses are online, which people were very excited about because they sneak right up on you and you don't know they're coming. But they are up and running. We're still working out kinks with our transfer busing. We have some new drivers, and we have some software glitches that we've worked out. This company is the first company to use an actual routing software. We've been requesting it for years, and the previous company just didn't want to do it. These guys got the routing software, figured out how to use it, and routed all of our kids with this software that really gets them to be able to hone in on exact stops, but it also develops a list for the driver. Each driver has a tablet built into their bus that is like a giant GPS, and it just reads the route. Okay, you're going here, take a right here, pick up a kid here. The beauty of this is also, down the road, we plan to open this up so that parents have access to the app that goes along with this and some of the other technologies, but the app will give them an opportunity to pop it on their phone and say, okay, my kid's gonna be 5 minutes late. You can send messages instantly through there. They can see where the buses roughly are. It's not 100% real time, but it's pretty cool. The company's done a really nice job of getting things up to speed, working out the kinks. They are all new to these towns, so routing software looks at some of these long driveways into a horse barn as a street and tried to route some of them. So fortunately, we had our people be able to sit down with them and work out some of the kinks. We had some routes that went back and forth over one another, but so those are just things we're working through this week. So they're getting better. People have reported that they're getting better, and one of the things that we'll continue to do is fine tune it as we figure out our ridership. We actually schedule every eligible kid to be picked up in the software. And then as they're going around, they start to get their numbers. We'll hone that down, which will speed up the route to get it back onto its regular schedule. So that's been kind of cool. And if you ever get a chance, go to the high school during lunch and listen to the conversation. Blew me away. I went there on Wednesday. I said, I got to go up and see, no cell phones. Let's see how it's going. Kids were having conversations. They were chatting with each other. A couple of kids were playing Uno. So it was a very different place than I've seen in the past at the high school. So that was kind of fun to see as well, where kids were just chatting it up and doing their thing. Wednesday, we also did the book groups. There were 44 books offered by the staff for kids to read during the summer. And if you're not familiar, staff members offer a book in May and June. Kids sign up as their summer reading. They sign up for a book. And then when they read the book through the summer, when school starts on this Wednesday, I'll use myself as an example. I read the book The Woman. A bunch of kids signed up for it. We meet for an hour, discuss the book. Kids have to create a project or write something about the book and some of the connections in the book, which are interesting to read. We even had one student do a playlist related to the book. He took songs from the 60s and 70s and associated them to songs that he knew now, and it was very cool. So it's a great opportunity for kids to connect with staff members they wouldn't otherwise. I mean, I had freshmen and sophomores mostly in my group, and they were like, I can't believe the superintendent's doing a book group, but that's the cool thing about it. Everybody's involved across the district. What's that?
Heavy book.
Yeah, it is heavy,
Yeah.
very heavy, but it was good. So that's really been kind of how the opening's going. We're just now fine tuning things as we move forward. It's nice to have a 4-day week to start out with, and then next week we'll get into our first full week, and I think things will continue to get better. So far so good.
Thank you. Questions for the superintendent?
Oh, yeah, the email you sent about, was that one of the ventilators in the middle school went up in
High
smoke?
school, yeah.
High school.
Yeah, there was a high school ventilator, close to the end of the school day, of course, that started smoking. So they were able to shut it off, stop the smoking. Fire department came. They had to evacuate the buildings. That's a requirement, smoke, fire out of the building. So they had to evacuate both buildings. When you evacuate the high school, the middle school has to go as well. So it threw a little monkey wrench into the end of the day, but all the kids were able to get on their buses and get home. And ventilator unit is being, it's a transformer that's being replaced this weekend, so.
Okay,
All that
thank you.
the old goods were used in there,
Yeah,
catching up to us.
yeah.
Do you want to tell us about things that are going on this
Let's
weekend?
get anything going on this weekend?
Yeah,
at all? Nothing?
Nothing. Yeah, so this whole week has been, if you haven't been at the high school this week, it's been packed. Every night, there's been a different game. Every afternoon or evening, has been a different game. Soccer, field hockey, boys soccer, girls soccer, and tomorrow night will be the first night football game, the first time we've had the lights on in forever. It's never been lights here, so that will be fun and exciting. People will be able to see the fields and get a taste of a Friday night lights game in Hamilton and Wenham for the first time. We're expecting a huge crowd. You know, if you can, carpool. This is where we want you to get out the Suburbans and fill them, rather than bringing, you know, a whole bunch of cars. Parking will be tough. Police will be up there working with us to help with the parking. And then on Saturday night, we're hoping the weather will hold out for us here. There's the opening of the field, the official opening. That will be a fun event for the entire community to come, see the tour, see the fields and get a tour. The games and activities around each of the fields is set up so that people can kind of get a tour as they're hitting each of the events and activities across all of the new fields and through the amenities building. There'll be food sold, there'll be opportunities for kids to play games. There's lots of games that are out there. There'll be some general swag being sold. We'll do a little intro in the beginning and then kind of let people free. And I hear there might be some surprise guests. We'll see.
Okay.
That's at 6, right?
Starts at 6 o'clock. The game,
Make sure
the game, people have asked, the football game is at 6:30 tomorrow night. And then Saturday night at 6 p.m. is the grand opening celebration, and that's community-wide. Both of those events, we expect to be packed. We were gonna try to run a bus out of at least Winthrop to get people spaces to park, so they're not parked all over 1A, but it's this week, if you've been near the high school, it's been packed for every single game. They had field hockey, and the parking lot was filled. And then girls soccer again today, and then the game tomorrow. So there's a lot of excitement in the air, and the weather is turning right on time. So
Who are we playing on?
Triton.
Triton.
Excellent, thank you.
And we also have volleyball and golf going on as well. We can't leave them out because they don't have new fields, but they are
But they're still going
part of
on.
our fall sports. Yeah, the volleyball team I think they played today. I think they played Georgetown today, and then golf played Wednesday. So lots of fun. It's nice to see all these things kind of ramp up in the beginning of the school year. For me, it's like, here we go, let's go.
The golf team had cuts for the first time in
Yeah,
decades.
yep.
Oh, so
Yep.
much interest.
It's been a long time.
Good and bad thing.
I think it was like my third year as principal of the high school, so that was 10 years ago that they made cuts, and they hadn't for a long time.
It used to be a really popular team. It's nice to see it back.
Yeah, that is nice. Excellent. All right, anybody have anything else for Eric?
Lanyard. Serious. I'll make my own.
You want a lanyard?
I want a lanyard. I'll pay for it. I'm not waiting in line.
I'll
You
give you
should
mine.
sell season passes where people can, at the beginning of the year, just
There's gonna be
buy
3,000
a
people there
season
tomorrow.
pass to
Yeah.
go to any game at the new fields that they want to.
Yeah, it's actually like a lot of the events we don't charge for it.
Yeah.
Like this week, these earlier events, we don't charge for. Football, we charge for. Some of the bigger like tournament games we charge for because we have to, but most of the games don't charge for until we get into the tournament level, because then we have to kick some of the money back to the MIA, so there's a little bit of a requirement. So it's been a learning curve, because now you're going from really kids all over the district to everybody's on site, everybody's using a piece of the pie, and then also just coordinating people coming in and out, because we're seeing numbers that we've never seen. That's been, Craig Genualdo's had lots of sleepless nights trying to figure out all the logistics of even like, okay, where is the nearest plug located to do this? Or how do I use my cell phone app to get the scoreboard to work? So there's been a lot of those logistical things, and I mean, this isn't funny, but one of the things we dealt with today was when we flushed one of the toilets in the amenities building, it came up through the floor drain. So a look with the camera showed some stones in the pipes, which were probably put in, left in there when they did the initial install with the rough install, because there was no building, there was just dirt, and they were running pipes through the dirt. So we're trying to get that cleaned out for tomorrow, so we don't have to do anything unusual. But it's been a learning curve. It's been interesting to figure out even how the cheese melting machine works in the concession stand. So
Well, now I'm intrigued.
Well,
Cheese
yeah.
now you got to come, right?
Nachos or pretzels?
Nachos, pretzels. We have a hot dog machine, pizza machine. We have a pizza oven.
So what time, so the game starts at 6:30, what time does it open tomorrow?
5:30 usually about an hour before. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Megan wants to be front and center.
Yeah, and I think it's important for people.
I'm gonna come, I'm gonna bring my littles, they're gonna fade really fast, so.
It's all right. They'll have fun.
Is there any arrangements that would enable the public, under certain circumstances, to use the tennis courts, the pickleball? and all
Oh,
that
yeah.
sort of thing?
Yep. So right now, everything's locked off because we haven't finalized the jobs. So we have a beneficial use agreement with the contractor Argus to get our sports teams on there, because we're all associated with high school. It's not quite ready yet, but public, for instance, would be able to go play pickleball on the weekends. So right now, everything's locked just because we're still under the contract with Argus, the initial general contractor. Once we move forward, get everything, we're finalizing our punch list. Once the punch list gets finalized, then we'll release those. And people will be able to use the track and come use the pickleball court, softball field, whatever, that stuff will be open and available. We're doing some education too. Like, we have had an issue with kids bringing their bikes on the new track and rolling around the track with bikes. So we put some signage up. We have more signage coming. So there's a lot of little detail things there. But we do plan to have it open. I even had talked with a resident Monday. I was here putting the sign up to welcome kids back to school, and resident stopped and said, hey, the pickleball courts at Patton aren't open. Can we use the ones at the high school? But it's just not ready. But they could eventually. I mean, this is a league of pickleball. They have 100-something people on an app that they schedule games and play, so they could actually start to integrate. There's 8 courts at the high school now. So, yeah, it'll be great. It'll be good for the whole community.
Okay, thank
Yeah.
you.
The only time we restrict it is when kids are in school,
Sure.
because we have restrictions with quarries and fingerprints and things like that. So that's the only time we say, we appreciate you not coming on when kids are out there during school time. So
Brian Menegoni said when we were doing the weight room, the whole redo, that would be made available to some degree for the public, but I don't know under what circumstances.
yeah, it's hard during the school day because you just can't have people coming in and out. So I'm not sure how to do that publicly. He has been able to do it with teachers, so after school teachers can get to it. But I can ask him. It's the disadvantage is that gym's right there, and every single kid is going through the gym during the day. So it's hard to manage who's in and who's out because the gym teachers use it for gym classes. So I can ask him.
Sports teams all use it for training.
Yeah, after school, the sports teams are generally, the summer, they were there all summer working out, so. Yeah, it's hard to figure out how to get public in there when kids are not there, because kids actually use the facilities quite often.
Yeah.
I would hope the outside, though, would be, once it's all, the outside is easier.
Yeah,
to
oh,
let the
absolutely.
public in.
Like on a Saturday morning, there'll probably be, I would guess, say a JV football game, and then some practices, but people would be able to access some of the other stuff.
Nice.
There's a lot to do out there now.
Yeah.
Can't get on the zip line though, because you have to have a license.
Yeah, I've done that.
That would not be good. All right.
Could
That's scary
have
stuff.
students bid on teachers to have them go down the zip line.
And I'll tell you, there's a lot of teachers that wanted to. They're like, I want to do it. So,
Excellent. All right. Anything else? All right, so my chair's report. Just a reminder that there is an election on Monday, September 15th, from noon to 8 p.m. Hamilton voters will vote at the Rec Center. Wenham voters will vote at the Wenham Museum. If a person is not yet registered to vote, they can register up through tomorrow is the deadline for registering to vote if you're not already registered to vote. Absentee ballots are available. An absentee ballot is appropriate if you are traveling, if you are away on September 15th, if you're not in town, if you have a religious belief that prevents you from voting on that day, or if you have a disability that prevents you from voting on that day. And absentee ballots can be requested from the town clerk until September 8th at the latest. Does anyone have anything to add on that?
I think you got it all.
I tried, my scribbled notes.
we are going to send a flyer out.
Yes, that has
Just-
basically the information I
Yeah.
just said.
It's identical to what Dana said, but it'll be just, this is the time, this is the place, this is how you can do, access. It's pretty limited. The Office of Campaign Finance doesn't allow us to put much other than time, place, location in there. So we have that coming out. It should go out on Monday. It just depends on each of the post offices when they decide to get them out, so.
Yeah, and I do just want to emphasize, I know you all know, but just to make sure your neighbors and people in the community are aware that what's, from a voter point of view, what's different is that the hours are noon to 8. So that's important for people to know.
And that's because of the way the law
That
is
was,
written.
yes, so yes, thank you for that question. Yeah, so the law under which we're holding this election requires a minimum of 4 hours and a maximum of 8 hours, and they have to be consecutive. And so this committee decided on noon to 8. Okay, the only other thing I wanted to say was, at our last meeting, we talked about having an agenda item that was tentatively titled as a test in our inboxes, basically just to provide some feedback about what we're hearing from the community. I forgot to put it on the agenda, so it will be on the agenda next time. Just let you know, that was my error. So we'll get that. And Amy talked about that next time she's going to give a little, sort of like a report, like a update on what we're hearing. All right, does anyone have topic for future meeting?
I just had the budget calendar.
That's on next, yes, okay, yeah. Okay. Anything else? Okay. Looks like we're done. Yep.
Oh,
Motion?
yes. A motion, I'll move a motion to adjourn.
Excellent. Do I have a second by Amy Kumberger. All those in favor?
8:05.
That looks unanimous, and we are adjourned at 8:04, but 8:05.
8:04 and 50.